Daniel,
Yes.
who are you?
Who am I? I am still evolving. I am still, meeting new people, new experiences, new locations, businesses growing. That's the best way to describe it. That who I am. I'm still like, who I am, who I was 10 years ago is not who I am today, and who I will be in 10 years or 5 years won't be who I am today. Um, yeah, I don't know how else to sort of put into that, like as in how to describe that part of it. My days are never the same. Never
Mm.
the same. They could be, starting at 6 a.m. and getting home at 8, 9 o'clock, maybe later. Some days I might start a bit later. So a day in the life would be, look, definitely start with a coffee. And then from there, I'll either go, like, whoever I'm scheduled to see. Could be some customers, could be a meeting, new customers, some training for customers. It
Mm.
varies. Every day is different to me. Yeah.
So to say, business, full-time, coffee connoisseur, and oh, if we could have like a magic three, what do you think the third one would be?
Business, coffee, and food. Yeah. Yeah, everyone goes, oh, every time I see your Instagram, you're somewhere different. I'm like, it's just, yeah,
Mm.
good food, good company, good people around you. That's really important.
It's funny how little we think about the basic things, just the people around us, the work that we have, and whatever it is that we're putting in our bodies. They're trying to get the next best thing, not trying to double down on the things that they're already getting. Has that always been the case, or did you ever have that I need to get more and more and more mentality? You've got a job, or you've got food, or you've got friends in your life, but you want that next best shiny thing.
No, when I was younger, like
Mm.
we're talking 20 years plus ago,
Yeah, wow.
yes, I did have that mentality where I needed to have, like, don't get me wrong, I'm driven and passionate about what I do now and always have been. But I have come to learn, well, come to appreciate life and what I have and where I'm at, because when I was younger, I wished for what I've got now. And you always wish for more. Yeah, it's fine, but you work for it. So I'm very appreciative of the moment and what I have now and what I've evolved to, what I've accomplished. When I never really thought about it. I always was like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I need to be doing this, or I need to have extra studying or whatever it may be. But I don't compare myself to others, but I'm
Mm.
really appreciative where I am.
It's tricky. Like when you look at other people, there are some others that see it as a competition and that becomes a fuel. And then there's another side where that becomes inspiration to do better and to want more for yourself. Not as a thing of I can do better than them, but just I know that I can get that next level if that makes sense. And it
Yeah,
takes
look, I
a
mean,
while to get there.
you could be talking about some people like a dopamine hit. That could be considered as that. I mean, yes, we
Mm.
always want to do better than where we're at, or some people are happy where they're at. Like, for
Mm.
example, and nothing. I'll give you an example. Nothing against people that do this. They like their 9 to 5 job. They go to work, they do their 9 to 5, and they go home and they're happy. Me personally, I can't do that. I can't stay in that environment. That's just me. But everyone's different, and everyone's
Yeah.
got their own path and what they like doing and where they're happy at. Some people like to be micromanaged. I can't be micromanaged. Like, it's just I don't thrive like that.
It takes a solid journey for us to figure
Mm,
out what conditions we can operate best under and just what our style is in life in general.
definitely.
Have Was there a journey that helped you figure out where you are best suited for or what your calling was, I suppose?
Well, look, this goes back to, I suppose, when I was a child, growing up. Italian background family. My parents were very um, look. We were comfortable when I was growing up, and my dad was a business owner. He was very well awarded business owner in Western Australia. Won awards for being the fastest growing business in WA, and it was very successful. And I suppose I looked at that and saying that I've always wanted to be my own boss. And being a business owner, it's not just, what people see on Instagram having coffees. There's days where you have really, really bad days. There's days where you have breakdowns. There's days that you have fantastic days and goals hitting. But for me, I got into business very young, at the age of 18. I left school early. I got into a burger place in Perth, WA, where I'm from, and I was 18 years old, and I was just fortunate that I was able to sort of buy into the business and then make my money to pay off that share as we went along. Went really well. I thought I knew everything at 18. I thought, oh yeah, I've done it. I'm a business owner. I've got it. I've done it. I'm good now. And I really knew nothing. I'm still learning to this day, like I said, but great experience. I still miss that business as being my first business, even though it was over 20 years ago. And I've just evolved in like, I've tried working for someone, like I've done all those sort of things. I've been successful in my roles, but like I feel like I'm always restricted in what I can do. Like, I'll give you an example. I went to work for a company which we were told, okay, lunch is between this time and that time. Your break time is between that time and that time. When I wasn't used to that, my experience is if you've got time, you stop for lunch. Like, you know what I mean? That was just my business when I was in business. It was like, you don't I'm still learning every day, which is great. And I'm a sponge of, like, I take information. I ask a lot of questions about people that are older than me, experience more than me. At the end of the day, I make my own decisions. But yeah.
So you were in Western Australia, but now in Victoria.
Yeah.
How did you, because you had a couple of businesses in
Perth.
Western Australia and then now moved over. Did you have to cut everything? Did you sell it all and then move across? Like, what was the journey of moving from A to B?
So very interesting journey. So I got to the point where I'll give you a bit of context around the situation. So I had the last business in Perth. It was still running, in a relationship at the time, and the relationship didn't work out at the time, and I ended up hiring this person as a manager in the store, and I could feel there was a lot of distraction in Perth, and I said, hey, let's move to Melbourne. Let's have 6 months off, sell the business, you know what I mean? We could do that. I'd planned to move over for 6 months and see how it all goes. The relationship didn't work out. They ended up falling pregnant to an ex-boyfriend, so it got really messy.
Wow.
So it was a bit of a shock to me when all that happened, and it was a bit of, at the time, it's the worst thing in the world. But I look back now and I'm like, everything's meant to happen for a reason, whether it's good or bad. And so originally I was supposed to come here for 6 months, take a bit of a break from things. I ended up taking 2 years off work, sold everything, and I went to Europe for a little bit, tried working for someone else, tried a few different things, trying to find my feet again. And look, wouldn't recommend taking 2 years off work from anyone. It's very expensive. But look, that was the journey I did at the time, and I'm here 13 years later, so loving it. Everyone asked me, would you move back? Look, I'd move back for family reasons or something like that, or maybe business took me there. But at this point in time, I don't see myself moving back there.
Yeah, it's with everything that we've sort of gone through. At the time, it always sucks. But when we look back, we think, oh, that thing is what helped me get to where I am today. And I'm
100%.
I don't know about grateful, but I might be grateful that happened because it helped me get to where I am.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more.
What was the big moment where just things were at its lowest? Like everything just sucked.
Well, I was into training. I was training every 6 days a week at the gym. I was, still going out and all those sort of things, but I was just going to the gym every day. I was doing seated rows as I normally would, and I just felt like my back, when your back cracks, like that's what it felt like. What I didn't know at the time is my L4, L5 in my spine protruded into my spinal cord.
Ooh.
So I didn't feel it at the time because adrenaline was running and I was all good, and left the gym, went to mum's for dinner afterwards, and and as soon as my body cooled down, I dropped to the floor. I was unable to walk for about 3 months. It was complete and utter pain constantly. It got to
Mm.
the point where the only option was they were saying was surgery. I didn't get surgery. Um, I was able to, go through therapy, chiro, eventually get to a pool, start walking into a pool, re-strengthening my core. But in saying that, in this time of this when all this happened, I was engaged with someone.
Yeah.
They started to show cracks in the relationship. The marriage didn't end up going through. I obviously wasn't working at the time. Business was suffering because I wasn't there, and everything crumbled at once.
Mm.
I felt helpless. I couldn't, we take things for granted. And every time someone says to me, oh, I've hurt my back or whatever it may be, I feel for them because we take things for granted, like just going for a walk somewhere or around the house. I remember the only time I didn't feel pain was when I was lying in a pool. Like, as in, I had those
Mm.
noodles. I had one under my neck and one under my legs. I'll never forget it. And I used to just lay there because I was no pain for the first time. Um, but that went on for 3 months, and that was really, really hard to go through that 3 4 months. And then I just slowly started to get back into things. But then had to rebuild the business, had to get over the relationship that crushed down, and all those sort of things. That for me, I feel was one of lowest points for me. And to get through that was it was difficult, but lucky I had a network around me. I moved into I've got my own place, but I moved into my mum's house at the time as well, because I couldn't do anything. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like whenever anybody gets into an injury, there's an element of
Mm.
I feel useless, I feel help, I can't do anything. What can you describe, or is there a specific moment where you were just lying down or sitting somewhere or just thinking or writing or reading, and you had that, what am I going to do with my life as a whole? Or things just, I just can't anymore.
This was that time. This was that time when I was injured. That I had a lot of time to just. I was laying there. I was literally
Mm.
sleeping, taking painkillers, going back to sleep, and that was
Oh,
all I
wow.
could do. So I was on. They gave me very, very strong painkillers, and that's that time when I had that injury. I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't move anywhere. I couldn't. I was without help. So I had a lot of time in that period of time to think about things and where I'm at, and I started to, as all this we went through with the relationship. It was the first time ever that I'd actually started to doubt myself.
Mm.
I started to feel like, am I good enough for someone? Am I good enough for myself? Am I doing the best I can? All those sort of things run through your head, and the worst things run through your head, the good things run through your head. But you know what? At the end of the day, like I mentioned, it will pass, and it did.
So the injury, it affected obviously your physical health.
Mm.
It affected your business relationship, at least romantic relationship. Are there any other factors or spheres of life that are left out?
Just everything just changed. Like you felt like you couldn't do anything. Like you felt like
Mm.
helpless. You felt, everything that I enjoyed doing, I couldn't do. I couldn't do anything.
At the time, if you can, I don't know if you were thinking this at all, but at the time, if there was just one
Mm.
thing that you wish you could get back to doing, what would that one thing be?
At the time, just go
Yeah.
for a walk.
Go for,
At the time, I was like it was a constant. I'll never forget it. Like even now to this day, like I'm older now, and if I feel the slightest little pinch or something like that, it could be nothing, yeah, but
Mm,
your mind brings you straight back to then. You think, oh my god, it's going to happen again, or something like that, and it could. Like at the
yeah.
end of the day, it can happen again, but um, yeah, at the time, there's nothing I could have done. There's nothing I could have changed. Yeah, okay, I might have gone and got surgery, but then what?
Mm.
You might then what do they do? They fuse your spine, things like that. Then all those sort of things happen. And I swear by my chiropractor, like I tell everyone to go to him because if it wasn't for him and me going to the pool and all those sort of things, like I'd have to get surgery.
I feel like the injuries, illnesses, diseases, and such, and including COVID in this,
Mm.
it really humbles us
Oh my God,
into
yes.
thinking what actually is important, what actually does matter to me in life. Because when it's not around, we get bombarded by so many different things, and we try to reach for so many different things in life. And then when those things happen, it's, oh, I actually don't care about 70 or 80% of those things. All I want is just the little bits that I have or is so close within reach.
Well, that,
So
yeah.
was there, how did you pick yourself up from that? Like, because that's the bottom of the bottom. Like, you were basically a
Yeah,
potato.
it was I just like me being able to start to move again. Like when I started to feel like I could walk to the pools across, like I couldn't even walk across the road. I was actually getting driven from across the road to get to this pools to get in.
Mm.
When I started to regain my own independence again, where I could actually get up and leave the house for myself and walk to the pool myself, I started to feel more independent again. I started to feel stronger again. I started to feel. I remember I used to focus when I used to get into that pool and the light, because I used to go in the mornings, and I used to focus on the sunlight hitting the end of the pool, and that was my focus when I used to get in. That's what I focused for, and that's what I don't know what drove me doing that. It was just putting some music on, putting my headsets in. That's I just rebuilt myself from there, and yeah, still building every day.
I suppose, and I've been doing this for about a year or so, but you found that one anchor, that one thing that you looked forward to each and every day or within the week even. And as soon as that happened, it just brought a smile to your face. It was like, oh, I remember why I'm here. You managed to find something that you look forward to on the day or in the week or something
Yeah,
to help you keep going, to be like, okay, I want to wake up again. I want to experience that one more thing again. Because when you get into that cycle of just all negativity, depression, and all those feelings, you don't know what to do.
it does take you to some dark places. Yes, it does. Like things, life can take you to some dark places, and it's all about controlling your way of thinking. One thing I've found is talk positive about yourself. It could be to
Mm.
yourself, or you might even make jokes with your friends about yourself, or whatever it may be. But I think that being talking positive about yourself definitely makes that difference.
And in a state where there was there were very few things you could say about yourself. What things did you say about yourself at the time to keep positive and stay in that mindset or get into that mindset?
Well, what drove me at the time, and I don't know if it was anger or whatever it was, because the whole relationship breakup was, I think, just as hard as recovering from. Where at the time it was the first time in my life that I actually questioned myself for the first time. Actually, like, didn't feel good enough for anyone or anything. It was really bad. Um, so my drive was to be successful, build a business back up again, drive it, get up, do things. Me laying in bed wasn't going to do anything.
Mm.
And that sunlight that I used to focus on every morning when I used to go in that pool was what I used to look at, and I used to have those thoughts in my head like, I'm gonna do this. This is what's gonna happen, and I did it.
So I assume there was a period where you just didn't want to do anything. You just wanted to stay where you're at, and you didn't think anything was going to improve. Was there something that helped you find that light?
Something that helped me. I don't know. It was like a switch in my head, and it's happened a couple. There's a couple different times this has happened in my head where one day it's just been a switch in my head where I'm just like, and I just get into that drive, and nothing can stop me. I don't remember which day it was or where I was. I think as I started to regain my independence at that time, this injury time I'm talking about, um, as I started to regain that, I started to just feel myself again, and everything else just flowed.
Mm.
Um, I started to be around people again. I started to be around, like, just doing things in business again. Everything just was I suppose you call it dopamine at the time. And it just drove me.
So back injury was obviously a huge thing. Is that anything that you had thoughts was going to happen, or was there any signs or any sort of indications as to things were getting bad and then it just happened, or did it just happen out
As
of nowhere
in,
while you were growing?
no, I think everything just crumbled at once. It was just, I think, um, the injury didn't help. Communication broke down the relationship. I was frustrated because I couldn't do what I wanted to do with business. I was getting frustrated because I couldn't do what I needed to do for the business for it to grow. It was suffering. Everything it was a combination of things. You can communicate to your partner all you like, but if they're not willing to listen or understand, there's no point.
Mm.
And that goes both ways, of course. And it was just like I said, it was a massive factor of things. The relationship already had its flaws, I suppose, and when all this happened, it just put fuel on the fire. It just made it worse because just like I said, how I was feeling, what I was going through. I might have, been more, I was more frustrated. It was harder for me to maybe myself communicate or how I felt. It's,
Mm.
I can't, it's just, like I said, everything happened at once and it was very hard to control.
Yeah, like too many cooks in the kitchen, right?
100%. Then you had family involved. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. And when you start doing that, I think it's all well and good taking advice of people, but you need to make your own decisions with things.
At the end of the day, it's you that needs to do X, Y, and Z, or not do X, Y, and Z.
I had to learn from it. As long as I learn from it and I understand it, you don't repeat the same process.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned networks, your network being one of the biggest things that helped you. Were people always reaching out to you? Did you reach out to them? Did you deny them at first? Like, what was the journey with that? Or was there always someone
Oh
there
no,
for
no,
you?
I didn't deny anyone. It was just hard for me to be around people. Like I love being around people, the right people.
Mm.
Obviously, I just love, just socializing. I love networking. I love, just helping people. Definitely, and that's where back then. This is when I started to feel better. That whole me helping people when I joined the Rotary Group, which I'm still part of today. And that's where that all came about as well. So there's some good that's come out of these things.
Yeah, I didn't know you were part of the Rotary. I'm
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of the Rotary. I actually just did something with them. Lovely organization. Love them to bits. Tell me a little bit about the relationship or
Look,
learnings.
look about in regards to relationships, and we've all been through them. What I've learned from all relationships, I think you need to communicate how you feel and make sure that you feel, and they make you feel, and you make them feel that they're in a safe environment to communicate how they feel. The way I personally look at a relationship is your partner should feel like your safe space. You should be able to talk about anything you need to talk about and
Mm.
anything at all, and feel safe in that environment to talk about it. And they should, and roles reversed. Um, so for me personally, I think just take the time to understand your partner and vice versa. Big rule that I'm a big believer of: don't go into another relationship when you're still healing. There's no time limit on healing. There's no time limit saying, oh, it's going to take a week or a month. It could take years. Who knows?
Mm.
But don't go into another relationship unless you fully healed.
And there's nothing wrong with obviously going through a phase of healing. That's just part of being life, really. Um, when it comes to meeting a person, whether that was intentional or not that you met them, it comes down to you communicating where you're at and knowing what you're
Yeah,
comfortable communicating with them. And then they get to decide whether or not they're comfortable with that, or if they're happy to step away from it, or just be friends.
100%. Like the way I look at relationships now, or is completely different the way I was looking at a relationship 10 years ago.
Mm.
I'm in a different stage of my life. I've experienced what I need. Like, you know what I mean? I've learned to not be around drama that takes too much of my energy. Like,
Mm.
I call it my superpower, where I can choose where to spend my energy and who to spend my energy with, whether it's relationship, friendships, whatever it is. And that to me has made a massive difference to my life. Like, I can't even express how much how much of a difference it's made for me. Where I don't get ink. So I used to get massive amounts of anxiety, like huge. Like I couldn't be in a crowded room. I couldn't be around certain people.
Really?
Where I would get into very high sweats, um, and and me stopping all this drama or controlling a situation and not holding things in. But if you're going to express yourself, obviously do it in a polite and
Mm.
way and all those sort of things. Definitely 100%. But as soon as I remove myself from situations or people or you know I'm an empath, but that's me. But I just choose not to absorb certain things now, and it's made a massive, massive difference in my life.
Mm. It's so interesting hearing people's journeys, especially when
Mm.
there's something notable about them. And when I first spoke to you, I felt confidence. I felt the warmth. I felt the energy that you're giving out. I was like, this is a guy that I just want to get to know. I want to be friends with this person. He's amazing. But knowing that you'd
Thanks,
been
man.
through that, it's
Oh,
oh.
look, we've all been through. Look, we've all been through things in life. Like I'm no better. I'm not better or worse than anyone else. Like everyone's had been through things in their life. I could have gone the opposite way. I could be resentful and hate the world, and uh, things would be negative. All you're doing is just hurting yourself. It's just like you're not living, and it's life's too short for mediocre.
Mm.
Yeah,
And so we've touched on different spheres of life. So health,
yeah.
relationships, a bit of business.
Hmm.
How did you know that after having gone through all of that, that you were on the right path or that you were doing the right things, so to speak?
How do I know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's how I feel. Like I just call it energy, call it vibrations, whatever you want to call it. I just feel so much better. Like I appreciate things more. Um and I feel that when good things start happening to you, you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing. People are approaching you more. People um are going out of their way to be around you. And that to me, that means I've got good energy. I've got customers of mine that I've dealt with since day one, or even new customers, which I don't get me wrong, I feel really blessed I do this. They invite me to their family functions. They invite me to their kids' birthdays. And these are just customers that I could be just a supplier to. And when I get those invites, at first I was like, what are they doing? Like, why are they inviting me for? Like, I just supply them just coffee, or I just supply a machine, or whatever it may be. To me, that's more than just a friendship. That's
Mm,
someone you're gonna have for life. You know what I mean? And that's when I started to feel like I am good enough. I'm a good person. You know what I mean? Because I was doubting myself for so long, and I wasn't like, am I good enough? Like all those negative, bad things went through my head. But when all this started to happen, I'm like, well, you know what? I am a good person. Not like I said, not in an egotistical way, but
mm. Acknowledging.
yeah, yeah,
I suppose
yeah.
there are some people that go down that broken path and they get hurt, as we all do at some point, and they find something that helps them rebuild themselves. And then they go a little bit too deep into that world to the point where it becomes unhealthy. And I suppose something for you was you acknowledged the thing that you genuinely wanted, which was that connection, that I suppose self acceptance. For those that are not yet there and are still searching slash going down that unhealthy route, do you have any tips, thoughts, or ideas of how they could find out if what they're doing is serving them or if it's unhealthy?
Best way to look at it is, do you want to continue feeling the way you feel, or do you want it to change?
Mm,
So if you're getting up every morning and um, you know hating the world, or you think all your friends are no good, or your family's against you, if you start feeling that way and continue, you will continue to keep on feeling that way. Like what I back when I was going when I go through my things, I become a hermit crab. I go to sleep. I sleep a lot. I stay at home. I just that's it. I shut off from the world. What helped me was going for a walk. Like across the road from my house, I have a lake. I put my podcast in. There was a guy on YouTube. I'll never forget it. His name was Eddie Pinero, and he had this. I think it was like a 3 hour or more, 3 or 4 hour
Wow.
YouTube thing. It was even longer. He had different. And I used to listen to that, and just to help me. It just motivated me. And as he was talking about uh, events and things like that, I would obviously flash back to what I've gone through and all those sort of things. But then it would just wash away. Like it literally just getting outside and going for that walk. And I used to get up at stupid hours, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. If I ever felt that feeling, I'd just go for a walk. I went for a walk, and it was great. I loved it. I've been a bit slack lately. It's been a bit cold, but I've been going. But I personally recommend that, but it might not be for everyone.
I,
It could be like, let's say you sit at home, you want to stay at home all the time and you want to watch TV. Fine. Don't watch, for example, if you had a bad breakup, don't start watching romance movies. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
just start watching things or listen to things that you want to do. Watch movies that are, watch an action, watch something else, and get your mind off things.
Mm. And I suppose because they find the habits that makes them perhaps feel good, but I think they need to, from what I'm hearing, they need to find something that puts a smile on their face.
For me, comedy. For me, I love having a good laugh. If you ask any of my friends, like there's even my closest friends, we laugh some days, and like I have a stitch, like from laughing, like we're in tears laughing, and you know what? Those moments to me are priceless. Like we sometimes just call each other. It could be after work or in the morning. Even my friends interstate, we just call each other and we just have a laugh, and it's the best medicine for me anyway. Go to a comedy show. Go to a stand-up comedy. Go to like for me, it's the best thing. But once I start to feel my laughter back, it's the best
Mm.
feeling for me.
How has your mindset shifted from where it was before to where it is now? Like what's changed?
My environments, my mindset. It's changed. I just removed certain people from you. Just removing yourself from drama, removing yourself from situations that are just draining your emotions or life or whatever it is. Just spend time with people who matter to you, and they matter, and you matter to them. So it's not always family. Like it could be anyone, like just a mate or whatever it is. But learn to enjoy your own company. I used to always have to be around someone. I always had to be on the phone to someone. I felt like that was the only thing, but it's not. I had to learn to, I suppose, love yourself again before you could start loving others and all those sort of things. And it's continuous. It's just continuous. You be around the right people, you'll be the right person too. Like it's just I don't know how else to explain it. Just you be around like for example, let's say your friends are all divorced and they're, for example, bitter and they hate their partners or hate all men are the same or all women are the same. You're gonna start having that mentality.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with those people as such, but if that's how they're feeling and you're around all the time, you're gonna start feeling it for no reason.
It's infectious.
100%. So I'm not saying cut them out of your life. You don't want to cut them out. But just limit your experiences with them.
Mm.
That's all.
So let's say if there's somebody who is around people that say things or do things that maybe they're not 100% on board with, or they acknowledge as not being healthy. but they also don't know where to go. What would you say would be a pragmatic or a smarter way of going about it? Do they distance themselves first? Do they find someone else first? Do they have a conversation with them? What would you say they should be
Oh,
doing
look,
to
talk,
try and?
look, just control the conversation if you can. Try and
Mm,
control the conversation. Try and get that person out of that environment because their mindset will change. If you want to distance yourself a little bit, distance yourself a little bit because at the end of the day, you're just going to end up going down the same path. You're just going to have um, not every guy is a bad guy. Not every girl is a
mm,
bad girl. It's just an experience that you may have had with someone. And I'm not talking about it can be relationships. It could be business deals. I've had
mm,
business deals go down, just down south. It just happens. You take risks in relationship. You take risks in business. It could be um, just try and limit people's negativity. Like I've had business ideas which I was sure I'm going to do this. That's what I'm going to do. And you go to people which are closest to you. It could be your immediate family, and it's not going to work. Or not because they're bad people. They could be just their risk is different to yours. They might be thinking, you might go to friends and they say, nah, don't do that. And that's the limit on that's their limit on how they feel about themselves, not from what you can do.
mm,
Only you would know what you can do because you're emotionally invested or you're financially invested or that's what you want to do. If you want to do it, do it. If you fail, you fail. But you lose from it. You learn from it. You go to the next thing or you tweak it or whatever you have to do.
mm,
That's what I've found. Like I found like, you have to listen to your parents or not that I'm saying your parents are bad people, but if you don't listen to them, it's not going to work out. By all means, take on board all the information you can, but make your own decision.
I suppose there's like this theme that's going on in the way that you're sharing things, and it goes back to what you said earlier around look at where you're at. Do you want this to be the narrative that you have down the track, or is there something you want to change? Is there something
Yeah.
you want to latch onto and keep going with it? Whether that's an internal thought mindset or a thought process, or the people that you're around,
Hmm.
business that you're in, the people that you're in relationships with, so on and so forth. It's like a life audit or like a way to go about auditing your life. Is there something that you wish your parents had shared with you when you were a child or growing up,
Well,
or perhaps something they shared with you that was
that's
amazing?
something I wish they shared with me.
Mm,
Um, it's what I wish they would have shared with me. Look, my parents, I think at the time, they did the best they could have done with what they knew. My parents weren't bad parents. It happened what happened. There's nothing I wish they could have told me. There's nothing I really like. For me, I'm a very stubborn, hard-headed person. Like you could tell me not to do something, and it could be like touching the fireplace. Don't touch, you're gonna burn yourself. And I have to go and burn myself for me to understand not to touch it. That's me sometimes, and that's how I learn, I suppose. And whether they call it the hard way or whatever it is, but that's the way I learn. Yeah.
and I'd imagine that was a a mindset or a way of thinking that was taught to you not directly, but just by the way that they were parenting you. And so I suppose in a sense they gave you the best skill that you needed in order to get to where you are now, which is you need to try things. You need to actually experience it yourself in order to see whether it works or doesn't work. Whether or not people are for you or against you, that was something that was embedded in you. It sounds.
In a way, I'd say nothing specific. They're both very successful in their careers. And I don't know, call it very sheltered as a young person. I didn't know the world out there, and I was only in a world which I was, like I said, we lived in a comfortable environment, and I didn't know the rest of the world out there. I just thought it all revolved around money, and if you didn't have that, then nothing works. But
Yeah.
as I've learnt is, yes, money's important. Yes, you want to be successful. Yes, you want to, grow and invest and all those sort of things. But the one thing money can't, or two things money can't buy is health and time. And I know people that are very, very well off and they got very, very sick and, lost loved ones. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't look after yourself, you are no good to anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Mm.
So yeah, that was an eye opener for me, and
I love that. There are some things that you just can't teach it, but they just have to experience it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes these experiences are just not planned. So reaching towards the end of the podcast, and for the people that are listening, what's one lesson or takeaway do you want them to walk away with after having listened to us having a chat?
I'll go back to something my mum told me. She reminded me of when you're flying on an aeroplane, and they say if the plane is going to drop altitude, the oxygen mask drop down, sorry, and they say to put your oxygen mask on yourself before your child or the person next to you. And that goes back to looking after yourself, not in a selfish way, but just after yourself first, because if you want to get, if you're not healthy, if you're not well, you're not going to be no good to anybody.
That reminds me of this analogy of, say you're on a raft, a wooden raft that has a bunch of logs, and you're trying to swim from point A to point B. Meanwhile, the raft is starting to fall apart. Which one do you prioritize? Trying to swim, but also trying to collect the pieces all together. No, you should collect the pieces, make sure it's nice and stable, and then go from A to B. And I think that's something that a lot of us need to take on board, because we get so caught up in the race.
Definitely. Don't let things like social media, and I think, and I know it sells on TV and all that sort of thing. Don't put your expectations around how life's supposed to be, what you see on social media, because I know plenty of people that are very, successful and all those sort of things on social media, but behind closed doors, you don't know what happened behind closed doors. Don't know what they're going through. Don't think because I'm not stereotyping people, but we see brand new Range Rover, big white house, picket fence, so you think, oh yeah, their life's perfect. No one's life's perfect. Don't put yourself comparing to look what they have or look what he's got.
That's why I always get curious. If they've got either items or a status or a lot of money.
I think that there's things you can't learn in a classroom. There's things you can't learn. You've got to just life experiences, and if you don't appreciate what you've got, you can lose it just as quick as you can gain it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got this little tradition at the end of each podcast where the previous guest passes forward a question or a challenge or task for the next person to do, and it's essentially truth or dare.
Let's go truth.
Who was your celebrity crush growing up, and why?
Mate, I had posters all over my room when I was going.
Oh, no way.
Who was my celebrity crush?
Sorry, judgment-free zone, sort of.
Mila Kunis. She's still a crush. She's still good, yeah.
Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having a chat with you, and thank you so much.
Awesome, mate. Thanks for having me.